Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. Today I'm going to talk about the Calgary Rink arrest, and this is something I've been reluctant to do a video on. The reason why is because I think a lot of my answers are going to be somewhat unsatisfying because they're going to be kind of lawyerly answers. But I want to have a look at this video because I've had so many people asking me about it. This is clearly something where people are kind of thirsty for a bit more information. So I'd like to have a look at this and just say what I see looking at this as a lawyer. So if this was a video, if this was my file and what I'd be how I'd be analyzing this particular bit of potential evidence. So let's jump in and have a look at this. I note that the accused is charged with obstructing an officer and resisting arrest. So let's see what's going on here.
Just shut up. Let's go. Let's just go.
Name?
Hey, let's go.
What's his name?
We're just gonna go.
You're welcome to go, but you might want to help your friend.
Yeah, he's
What's his name?
Whoa, we're just gonna grab him. He's gonna go.
So the first thing I see here is they're saying, we've got two groups of people, and one group who's at the back and mostly behind the camera are being told, you're welcome to leave, but you might want to help him out by providing his name. And they're asking that other person who's out on the ice, who's been separated, what's your name, identify yourself. This suggests to me that he's being given a ticket. Again, I understand this is a ticket under the Public Health Act. So they're giving him a ticket, but they're not giving everyone else a ticket. I don't know why. And I don't really know a whole lot of the setup here. This actually shows a very common problem with when the public records the police. What often happens is that people don't pull out their phones and they don't start taping until things have gotten to a point where they start feeling uncomfortable, where they start feeling that things have gone wrong, where they start to feel concerned. And so they start recording at that point, but they miss the critical part, which is often the lead up, because that lead up can tell us whether the officer's actions are justified in law or not. So because we don't have that lead up, or at least I haven't been able to find it published anywhere, so far as I can tell, this is when the recording starts, but it might be that there's more recording out there. It was just cut before it got uploaded online that provides us with some additional background and some additional context and might answer some questions that today I'm not going to be able to answer. Right now, I don't know, but here's sort of what I'm seeing in terms of the two groups. It tells us that there's a difference in behavior or some reason for this individual to be singled out. I suspect, although I can't, say for certain, that he was being less cooperative. Everyone else maybe was about to leave. He's saying he's staying. So let's keep going.
It's not a gun. It's a taser, and he's under arrest, and I have the authority to use force to effect an arrest.
What is he under arrest? We'll just leave it alone.
Okay,
Let's go.
So the thing I immediately start, latching onto here in terms of defense lawyer's ear is that, they're saying that he's under arrest. That's why they've got their tasers out. But everyone in this crowd says, wait, he's under arrest? They sound surprised to hear that. So it's not clear that they've actually told him that he's under arrest. And people are saying, for what? Why is he under arrest? If this individual is being detained or arrested, they're supposed to advise him of the reasons for that. And it doesn't seem that that's actually, I can't say for certain because I don't have the video, but there's some reason to doubt that that's happened, which is concerning because it may affect the lawfulness of the arrest. So carrying on here.
His name.
Oh, let's go.
Oh,
No, I didn't. So listen to me.
and I heard him say,
What are you doing?
yeah, like videotape.
Hey,
Videotape.
What are you doing?
what are you guys
What are you
doing?
guys doing?
You were under arrest.
Why are you
What are
grabbing
you
me?
doing?
Why are you guys grabbing me?
So they shout at him, you're under arrest, but they don't finish the sentence because you're under arrest for, like, why is he under arrest? That's something that they should be articulating at this stage, especially because they have to realize that they're on camera. I mean, they've already approached the group who are filming. One of them has called out about how they're filming this. And so that's something, if I was one of these officers, that I would definitely want to articulate. You are under arrest for the following reasons. You know, these are the offenses we think you've committed, or these are the grounds we have for arresting you. I'd be wanting that to be crystal clear on any recording, but they don't get that far.
Like, why are you guys grabbing me?
What are you
Whoa,
doing?
whoa,
What are you
whoa,
doing?
whoa,
Whoa.
whoa.
Now he's asking, you know, why are you arresting me? And, you know, at this stage, he's not going along with the arrest. Whether or not that's lawful will depend on the lawfulness of the arrest, which again, I can't answer for certain because I don't know what's taken place up to this point. So that's going to be a big issue here. I also hear there's some guy in the background who's yelling, "F the police." Well, he's not helping. You know, if one of your buddies starts doing that when you're having a confrontation with the police, he's not your buddy anymore. That guy is making things much worse because the police here could be dealing with this a little bit differently. And that guy shouting this kind of stuff is really going to incline the police to make sure that their authority is sort of carrying through. So that guy is not helpful. If you are ever in a group and, you know, one of your friends starts shouting something like that around an arrest, just tap him on the shoulder and tell him to knock it off, assuming he's willing to listen, because that never helps.
What are you guys doing? Okay, relax. Get down on the ground to me.
Down on the ground.
Why are you guys grabbing?
Dude, you guys just need
Why are
to
you guys
stop.
grabbing?
Hey, orcs.
Not pulling, okay? Ocean, get on the
Ocean,
fucking ground
Ocean.
before you get
Down on the
tasered.
ground.
Why are you guys
Get
Get on
on
the
them.
fucking ground right now.
Ocean.
Guys, please, why
Get on the ground before I fucking taser you.
Ocean.
Right now.
Why are you tasering?
So this is, you know, they've been swearing at him at this point. They've tried to wrestle with him unsuccessfully. A hockey player is going to be, if he's not going along with it, he's going to be a bit of a tougher nut to crack than your average person, especially when he's on ice and has the ability to sort of engage in mobility and that sort of thing. But just hockey players know how to deal with people trying to grab them and drag them to the ground. It's part of the game. So he's got a bit of an advantage over the usual, but now they've got a taser pointed at him. But he's still asking, like, why am I under arrest? What's going on? His friends are actually giving him good advice, which is that it's better to comply here and you can argue the issues later rather than fighting, because he could have actually ended up in a situation where he got seriously hurt, and it's good that he didn't.
Like, what? I'm
You
just
are not.
talking.
Ocean, just get off the ice. Ocean, just get off the
The
ice.
ice, but don't touch me.
Just get off the ice.
Why am I going on the ground?
Get on the ground.
What are you guys doing?
Dude,
Like,
Ocean. Guys, they're trying to get compliance. Okay, please back off, okay?
Hey, these.
So I like this other officer a lot better because this other officer is explaining sort of what's going on, and he's managing the crowd in a way that's not confrontational. It's not insulting. He just says, you know, you guys need to get back. Here's what's happening. Don't interfere. And he gets much better results. Here, again, we don't know what was tried before the video got started, but there seems to be a very confrontational and very, you know, you will do what you are told kind of mentality, which isn't getting them very far. Maybe something else should have been tried.
What's wrong with you? Stop. Stop.
what do you? Just let him go. Like,
Let him take off his skates.
We're
Come
literally
on.
leaving. He gave us the warning.
Hey, like, we're
Let him
leaving.
take
We
off
got
his
the
skates.
warning.
Get on the ground.
Why are you guys doing this? I haven't done anything wrong.
He gave us a warning. We're all leaving.
He is not leaving.
I just
Let him
asked
take
you
off
what
his
you guys were
skates.
doing to that little kid.
Well, I know, but you gave us a warning, and you said we're all okay.
So they're saying you gave us a warning, but he's not free to leave. Again, I don't know why. There's just not enough here to evaluate that and why they're taking an interest in this guy. So it's concerning, but it's also concerning that he's still saying, you know, why am I under arrest? It could be that he's playing dumb, because that's something people do where they just sort of refuse to acknowledge the things they've been told. But it could be that he hasn't been told, and that's a problem if that's the case.
Yeah, this is going on the fucking news for sure. Just for skating on the outdoor rink, eh?
So yeah, there's another portion of it, but that really sort of sums up what we need to see here. A lot of this case is going to come down to the big issue of whether or not that arrest was a lawful arrest. And again, to determine that, we need more video than we have. We need basically the 5 minutes immediately before this, maybe even the 10 minutes or 15 minutes immediately before this. We don't know what all, happens in that circumstance, because it could be that they told him, you must identify yourself. You're going to be arrestable if you don't identify yourself for the purposes of issuing this ticket. And that then they told him, you're under arrest for the purposes of identifying you for this ticket. And then they say, then all of this takes place and he's just playing dumb. Or it could be that they just never actually explain. And one thing that happens, and it shouldn't happen, is that sometimes the police decide to arrest somebody and decide that they're going to figure out why they arrested them after the fact, which is a problem, because if the arrest isn't lawful, then you're entitled to resist it. Police only have power to the extent that they act within their authority. Because if a police officer is arresting you unlawfully, it's the same thing as if a hobo sort of tries to grab you and tries to throw cuffs on you. You're entitled to resist that. You're entitled to resist that potentially with a fair bit of force. It has to be reasonable under the circumstances. There has to be all sorts of... There's a big complicated test, and it's always a bad idea. Do not resist the police, even if you think the arrest is unlawful, because A, you could get injured or killed. B, most of the time people say, I thought the arrest was unlawful. They are wrong. C, it is impossible for you to know whether or not you are right as to, whether or not it's a lawful arrest, because it could be lawful based on circumstances that are outside of your knowledge. And the proper place to, combat an unlawful arrest is further down the road in court. You're not going to get shot arguing with the police in court. You might get shot fighting with the police on an ice rink. Again, it's really unsatisfying when I'm coming here saying, I don't know whether this is a lawful arrest or not. However, there's something that you get taught in law school, and it's not terribly relevant to criminal practice, because in criminal practice, you're not the one who's sort of deciding that your matter is going to trial or not. That's somebody else's, issue, at least in criminal defense practice. But in terms of civil lawyers, one thing that, you get warned about, or at least I did in law school, is the Streisand effect, which is that, if you try to hide information, it can have the unintended consequence of publicizing it. Similarly, the issue of optics is an issue that police have to deal with these days. Because if you're trying to enforce this law, this is a great way to get backlash, even amongst people who generally support the law. It's really hard to imagine a worse situation in terms of the optics of it than going after a guy for playing hockey. And, if this guy was trying to create a public sort of relations moment, he does really well, because I don't see him lift his fists. He doesn't swear back. He, one of his friends or somebody in the background is shouting expletives, which again is not helpful. But he is, polite. He says, what am I being arrested for? Why do I have to go on the ground? What's happening here? Please explain. And he doesn't really get the explanations on camera. They might have happened, as I mentioned, off camera. There's a time and a place where the proper answer might be to just walk away. And especially, this guy's out there skating. He's out there playing hockey, apparently, with his friends. If you chase off all of his friends, he's probably going to go home in, a few minutes. So you can just, if you just isolate the guy, you've accomplished your public health issue. Now he's not a contagion risk if he's the only person skating on the ice, and he's going to get bored. He's going to give up. He's going to go home. So this could have been de-escalated much more effectively than it was. And I think that the de-escalation would have done a lot to actually accomplish the goals that these officers had and to really solve their problem. I think that a lot of this issue is their own, concern. Now, this is going to end up going to trial, and there's going to be a big trial on the appropriateness of the use of force in this particular circumstance, which, I mean, again, if he was playing this as a public relations move, he's doing really well. The flip side of all of this is, as a defense lawyer, the one thing that occurs to me is if this tape landed in my lap and it hadn't gone to the media, like nobody knows this has happened, then you have a consideration of whether or not you want to put this in the public or whether you want to keep it and just run it at the trial and keep it quiet. And sometimes media pressure can be helpful, but sometimes media pressure can also be harmful, because once this media situation is engaged, it can cause people to double down. It can make this a cause that sort of has to be won by both sides, which can sometimes prevent a situation where you can sort of walk away with an amicable resolution. Because ultimately this seems like it got out of control on all sides. And probably none of the people are terribly happy about how this went down. And everybody involved, I think, might have liked for it to go down a little differently. In different ways, of course, but I think that everyone involved might have some regrets about how this went down. Again, just my conjecture from sort of files I've dealt with in the past. But a lot of people sort of wanted me to come out and say, this is totally ridiculous. The police are totally acting outside of their authority. And I can't do that because I don't have enough information to get there. Again, the 10 minutes beforehand might have established that, but they might not. It could very well be that this goes to trial and the evidence at trial establishes that the police officers were exercising force as they're allowed to, and he gets convicted and ends up with these charges on his record. Resisting arrest is not a great charge to have on your criminal record, because every time you get pulled over at that point, they're going to run your license, they're going to see resisting arrest, and they're going to be a little concerned about dealing with you. So I hope everything works out for the best for this guy. I mean, but we'll see. And because it's now such a high-profile case, I'm sure it'll be in the news. Thank you for watching. I recognize that this probably hasn't provided you with everything you wanted to know or all the answers you wanted, but I hope it's at least elaborated a little. Please like this video. Please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to see more content. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level: D-Mo, People of Canada, Sir Daniel Wicks of Alberta, Canada's National Firearms Association, Toronto Airsoft, and Rail. At the $20 level, Cameron Johnson, Kevin Fleet, and Dale Nesbitt. And at the $10 level, Ma Buddy Keith, Process Eng, Stephen Larson, General Counsel of the CCFR, John Robinson, TR, Roy Haddock, Freckles Dack, Jean-Alexandre Tessier, Sir Goat, Sights and Arms Limited, Chava Hollow, Peter H., Craig Kwan, Akin Coxall, North Central Process Service, Toys Are for Boys, Ian Vaughn, Milan Vrekic, Terrence Griffiths, Doug Thompson, Mark D., Brad Crooker, Jason Harrington, Lee Kiso, Mark Stout, Michelle Stotzel, Scott Sweetman, Mike Rhodes, DF, Stacey Cartmel, Tactical Advantage TV Canada, Ian S., Dave Leslie, Juan, Donald Duncan, Stefan Conquest, Darren Duell, Sean Crane, Pete H., Ian Hutchinson, Rory, Travis, BC Bushcraft Leather, John Singarty, Misa Komarevich, All Systems Go, David Moga, Ian Hedge Danik, Hello from Venezuela, Taylor Delnea, Rod Guzman, Matthew Nesbitt, Conway Yuri, James Cox, Zip Ties and Bias Plies, Daniel Kang, Jean-Guy Toussaint, Richard, Brock Watts, Frog Clan Copper, Anik Bain, sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that. I apologize. Tim McGill, Jordan Delaney, and thank you once again. I'll leave a link to at least one news story where you can watch the video for yourself if you want to in full detail, and also to my Patreon below. Thank you for watching, and I hope I've armed you with knowledge. And this will be an interesting case just to see, sort of where it goes. It's, I'm kind of on the fence as to if you asked me to put money on this, I'm kind of on the fence as to where I'd put my money. Although I lean towards thinking that maybe the arrest might not be found lawful. But again, that's just my guessing. I don't have enough information to know. So thank you.